I'm sorry, okay? I know it's been almost 3 weeks and I haven't done the video that I said I would do. I was busy. I was busy birding little girls and getting paid for it. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but, you know, I'll put a clip in of what I was doing, because, you know, I gotta get the money. Serious time now. So pretty much at this point, everyone has more or less played the heist and formed their own opinions. But you're here for my own shitty opinion, and possibly those graphic animations I do. So let's start with Mercury Station. Narratively, this comes first out of the 2 heists, stealing an EMP where there is no plan B. It is a fantastically well thought out map. It is compact, but there is just so much to it. It's split into 2 sections, the basement and the train yard. The basement is pretty straightforward. It serves as a means for transportation and a means to find mission equipment. It is very simple to learn the layout of the underground, 4 entrances with 3 rooms and long hallways. What really impresses me is being able to get below the walkways via vents. If you want to be super safe, it adds an extra layer of verticality as well as a hiding spot and a method for transportation. Not that I would suggest using it though, it is quite slow and I've only used it once, but it's nice having the option. The train yard also has a great way of providing hiding spots. Since the majority of the guards are patrolling up there are ample spots to duck under the train carriages and hide from guards as well as drones. Yes, drones. While this is not the first appearance of drones in Payday, it is the first time they are used against us. They function like normal cameras. You can shoot and destroy them, with the exception on Death Wish where they become Titan drones. Except they turn on and off and switch places, which adds a unique challenge to the map, not really available on any other map. It's not unfair since only 5 can be active at a time on Death Wish, and they take a while to move and boot up, which is indicated by a red light when they're booting up and a white light when they're active. They can also be blocked by ECMs, as you can imagine, in which case they will emit a blue light. But ECMs block the hacking on the trains, as one would expect to prevent ECM rushing. The hacking is the hardest part of the heist, having to expose yourself for 10 seconds to open the carriages, and the panels only spawn on one side of the train carriage. The mission equipment I mentioned earlier are a set of 4 items which spawn in set locations around the map. What I appreciate is that each item has an associated sound with it, so you can listen for it if you're having difficulties finding them. The thermite gets a soaring sound while the blowtorch gets a welding noise. Then you have the keycard, which has the radio next to it, playing a random song. Finally, you have the hard drive. Granted, it is the hardest one to find since its beeping sound is very subtle. But once you learn most of the spawn locations, the map becomes pretty breezy. As anyone who subscribes to my channel would know, seeing the speedrun I did on this map, being able to solo it on Death Wish in under 2 minutes, which puts it as the fastest Death Wish map you can do consistently. The other thing on this map is the escape. You can get the boat or the van escape, and it's polar opposite to the train heist where the van was better, but in Mercury Station's case, the boat is way better. So basically we stole an EMP for Jimmy. Ah yes, Jimmy. He has become the first playable contractor now, and I was hoping that this would be an elephant job since the trailers had the elephant in it, but it doesn't. Or does it? Technically the heists fall under the elephant's contracts since you need to complete both these new heists to get the elephant's achievements. So Boiling Point becomes a heist of many firsts. It takes place in Russia and we fight an entirely new set of enemies, a Russian variant of every cop in the game, all the way from weak cops to every special. I must say this was a wonderful idea and I really appreciate it. Seeing a set of different enemies and having a hard time telling apart what is what really increased the difficulty of the heist. You have to go through the whole process of learning what is what again. Bulldozers, however, are a tad harder with their faceplates being a smaller size. However, playing through a few times you start to learn what is what and can play the game like you normally would. So the heist itself is dropping into the motherland, disabling some anti-air defenses, to drop the EMP stolen from Murky Station, then using said AA defense to breach complex to reach EMP to kill these test subjects and get into the hidden facility. Once in, we scan 1 to 4 of those test subjects, then grab a briefcase and server full of information and backpedal as hard as you can to the spawn so we can escape. The starting area, which is also the ending area, is by far the hardest section of the map. A snow-covered mountain with lots of foliage, hiding Russians shooting at you from every which way with bare minimum cover, takes a lot of practice to do successfully. And I had been wanting a heist that takes place on top of a snowy covered mountain. That had no cocaine references, I'm looking at you Vlad, and I'm glad that this was the result. What the heist lacks in RNG makes up for in a semi-challenging heist. It isn't a map you can turn your brain off and do whatever. This might be a good time to talk about the difficulty of the heist when it was released. I was thinking of making a separate video, but I'm not gonna do that. To anyone who played Boiling Point before the 97.1 hotfix, they would have found it extremely difficult, even on overkill. There was a number of issues which combined caused the heist to be extremely difficult. From here on out, I'll be talking in terms of a death wish. So issue 1 was to do with the enemy shotgunners, specifically Rheinfeld shotgunners. There was a decimal error in the code which caused these types of units to have 500% accuracy at 10 meters. Basically unable to miss from 20 meters away, and at 20 meters away they deal 250 damage, enough to down you with any health increasing perk decks such as Muscle, Grinder and Ex-Presidents. Issue 2, which isn't really an issue, normal assault groups only have 3 unit types with Rheinfeld shotgunners in them, being blue cops, armored blue cops and green cops. On Death Wish you don't get too many of them. The Russians, however, have an elite variant that uses a Rheinfeld, and on Death Wish, elites are plentiful, so you can start to see why Boiling Point was pretty difficult. The third issue was that all non-special Russians were reading the blue cop tweak data values. If you have no idea what that means, basically all the non-specials became glass cannons, low health, high damage and high accuracy. And as it turns out, the blue cop shotgunners deal greater damage than green dozers on Death Wish. So what you get is 4 unit types dealing 250 damage from 20 meters away and being unable to miss you. Absolute insanity. They obviously fixed these issues, but at the time, Boiling Point was one of the hardest maps in the game. There have been people complaining about wanting to bring back that sort of difficulty. However, it usually goes along the lines of, bring back that hard Boiling Point, followed by, I play on Overkill and I really enjoyed the challenge. Which at that stage you want to bash their skull into the nearest wall because there is an entire difficulty above Overkill called Death Wish. I understand the balancing issues between Overkill and Death Wish, but when you're saying Overkill is too easy and not playing Death Wish, you really don't have any right to complain about increasing the difficulty. But another topic for another day. In concluding, Boiling Point is a fantastic addition to the game. I only wish that it was locked until you completed Murky Station, but 'tis only a minor annoyance. Let's go back to how I usually do these things, because I've rambled for ages. We got 10 achievements as per usual, and starting with Murky Station. Blackout for completing Death Wish. The Pacifist for not killing a single soul. Ghost Run for completing in under 7 minutes. Janitor for putting a body bag in each of the 4 dumpsters. And No Witnesses, killing all the guards on Overkill or above and escape without using an ECM. Boiling Point has Red Snow for Death Wish completion. The ground is too cold, having no crew downs on Overkill or above. When in Russia, do as the Russians do. Have your crew wear Russian hats and wield golden AK-762s on Overkill or above. Crazy Ivan for the entire crew using only melee weapons for killing on very hard or above. Then the 10th achievement is a wild card of sorts, MEGALO-MANIA. Having 4 players use full Maniac perk decks and reach an average of 65 Hysteria. Yes, an achievement based on that shitty fucking perk deck I made the last video about. It might become not so shitty since we now know the new skills, but that is also for another time. Damn, Simon, back at it again with the soundtracks. The sweet subtle tones from Pulse, the soundtrack associated to Murky Station, and acts like the Shadow Rage soundtrack. Then we have Sweat. The cold snowy mountains of Boiling Point will certainly make you sweat, especially if you played on the release version. And I'm sorry for that joke, that reference. I'm sorry. So the melee weapon comes next. The electric brass knuckles. Finally, a melee weapon that is of actual benefit. If you have watched any of my videos, you will have most likely noticed my melee weapon of choice is the buzzer. And that is simply because it is the most effective way to get hostages and comes with the added bonus of being able to tase cloakers, which makes it function as a free counter-strike. The electric brass knuckles are almost an identical reskin except for one section. It has a 0.2 slower draw time, but a 0.2 faster redraw time, which means your first strike is a fraction of a second slower, but repeated strikes are faster. When it comes to stunning enemies, being able to hit them as fast as possible is the key. Since I mainly use it for its cloaker stunning, being able to tase ASAP takes priority. That's where the taser has its benefit over the electrical brass knuckles. However, say I miss my first tase. If I need to strike again, that's where the electrical brass knuckles becomes better. However, when dealing with cloakers, you usually only get one chance to tase them before you find yourself looking at the world sideways. So I will still prefer the buzzer. However, if you don't own the Golden Grid Casino, the electrical brass knuckles should be your first go-to melee weapon since it's free, and that's the beauty of it. Next we have the White Streak pistol, which is basically a reskin of the Baby Deagle, except it has 2 extra rounds in the magazine. I'm not much of a pistol person, and I didn't cover the Beagle in my Point Break video very much, but I can say it is an excellent pistol, and the White Streak is better due to its extra rounds, except if you want to make a silent version of the gun, in which case the Beagle is slightly better. With the right skills, it is a killing machine, being able to one-headshot elites, and almost able to one-headshot tans as well. It gets up to 3 ammo pickup without fully loaded, and since most of your killing takes 1 to 2 shots, you should be staying ammo neutral even with bad accuracy. I have been using pistols more, mainly because I'm tired of failing so many loud speedruns since I keep getting downed all the time and Pistol Messiah really saves my ass. But with the new skill system that's gonna change, but that's also fucking so many different videos I have to make. Finally, that leads me to the last part of this update. Masks, materials, and patterns. Usually what I do is I don't write enough stuff in the script when I'm talking about this section, and as a result they kind of go past kind of quickly. So this time I thought I would just talk about it in a kind of roundabout way and edit it how I see fit. Honestly speaking, the masks are pretty alright this time around. I really like the theme of them, that futuristic kind of look, and I reckon some people will really take to them. The materials are pretty nice too, but it's usually not that hard to get the materials looking good. It just helps with variety when trying to customize a mask these days since there's so many materials. The patterns are also in the same boat. They are nice, but mostly only work on certain masks. Sadly, I didn't update my mask with new stuff, which is usually my goal for new content, but hey, I like to make my mask look cool, and if it didn't work this time, it didn't work. So that about wraps things up. Sorry this video was so late, but I don't monetize my videos, and I have to prioritize paid video work over YouTube videos. But if you enjoy what I do, then spread the word, tell your friends. I recently got over 1,000 subscribers, and that's pretty cool. Also, the new skill tree beta will be out on the 28th, and I'll try to make a video about that. But for now, see you later. You motherfucker.